Greetings and salutations, my name is JW608, and today I am playing StarMade. And I am on a planet today, just wandering around, just seeing what type of trouble I can get into. Oh, you know what? This planet reminds me of a story. Would you like to hear a story? Oh, good. Seems as though, once upon a time, there was a little boy. And the little boy was out in his yard, and he was singing patriotic songs, and he was a United States citizen. And he was singing these patriotic songs as he was playing in the yard, and he was singing one, and he had the question to himself, what is a purple mountain? You know the song Purple Mountain Majesty? So he said, what's a purple mountain? I don't know what that is. So he saw his friend walking down the street, little Timmy. So he called over, hey Timmy! And Timmy came over, and the little boy asked him, do you know what a purple mountain is? And Timmy all of a sudden just waylaid him, just popped him in the eye one, and told him what a horrible person he was, and never speak to me again. And he punched him again in the stomach for good measure and just took off. Well, the little boy was just shocked and stunned. So he stumbled into the house, and his mother saw him and panicked and said, oh no, what happened? What happened? Because he had a black eye and was hunched over, limping a bit from the punch to the gut. And the little boy told his mother, well, I saw Timmy, and I just asked him a question, and then all of a sudden he just hit me, and he told me never to talk to him again. And so his mother asked him, well, what did you ask to make him act like that? And he said, I just asked, what is a purple mountain? And his mother just smacked him upside the head and said all types of unkind things to him and told him to go to his room, and you're going to wait there till your father gets home. He's going to have a discussion with you. So the little boy, stunned and confused, went up to his room. And he was sitting on his bed trying to think, what have I done? He was as confused as can be. And his father came in and sat down by him after he got home from work. And he didn't really know what was going on because his mother was so mad she couldn't talk straight. So he sat down on the bed by the little boy and asked him, son, I heard you got in an altercation with a friend, and your mother's, I don't really know what's going on, so go on, tell me what's going on. So he told him that he'd been talking to his friend, and he asked him a question, and his friend just punched him. And he came in, and he told his mother about him, and she smacked him upside the head and sent him up to his room. So the father's still fairly confused about this, asked, well, what did you ask to get this reaction? So the little boy looked at him and asked, well, I asked, what's a purple mountain? And the father got up and punched the boy on the other side of the face, giving him another black eye. And he grabbed a suitcase and chucked it at him and said, gather your things, you're no son of mine anymore. Get out, I never want to see you again. So the little boy, stunned, partially by the fact that he'd been thrown out, partially because a suitcase hit him in the head, and stunned, gathered a few things and stuffed in the suitcase and left. He was just kind of wandering out, dazed and confused, wandering the streets of the city. And it was getting dark, so he found a park bench, and he was sitting there and decided to sleep on the park bench. So he fell asleep, and a police officer came down and woke him up and said, well, son, what are you doing out here? And the officer figured he ran away from home, the suitcase, sleeping on a park bench. So the little boy told him his sad story about his friend, Timmy, who he asked him a question, and he just punched him, and his mother smacked him upside the head and sent him to his room, and his father disowned him and threw him out of the house. And the policeman was just sitting there in shock, almost utter disgust, and said, well, what question did you ask for all this to happen to you? And the little boy looked at him and said, what's a purple mountain? And the police officer just flabbergasted this young man would ask such a thing. First he was at a loss for words, and finally he broke his nightstick over the boy's head. And the little boy woke up in jail. And he was being woke up because he was being summoned into the courtroom. And they brought the little boy before the judge, and he stood there looking up at the judge, and the judge was somewhat confused to see this poor battered boy with two black eyes. He limped a bit and a big knot on his head. And he said, well, son, what are you here for? And no lawyer would represent him. So he was there to represent himself. So This further confused the judge, and he asked him, well, why are you here? So the little boy told his sad tale about his friend punching him, and his mother smacking him and sending him to his room, and his father disowning him, and the policeman who hit him and arrested him, and he wasn't real sure what was going on now. It was all because he asked his friend a question. And the judge just stood there in disbelief and asked, well, son, what on earth did you ask? And the little boy said, I asked, what's a purple mountain? And you could just hear the commotion in the courtroom, the gasping. Someone fainted, and the judge, he was just at a loss for words. He was quaking in anger and beating his gavel on the podium, trying to get order back into the court. And finally, he just chucked the gavel at the boy and hit him in the head. And finally, being able to gather words, he told the bailiff to arrest that boy, and he sentenced him to be stranded on a desert island. So, the next morning, he was on a plane, and as they were going over a desert island, the pilot told him, well, this is your stop, kid, and pushed him out. They didn't even give him a parachute. So, the boy plummeted from the plane, and smacked into the sand, and he was out for a little bit, but he was relatively alive. When he came to, and he wandered around the island a bit, still confused, not real sure what was going on. And when he saw a little hut. In the little hut, there was a man sitting outside the hut, an old man with a long gray beard. And you could tell he'd been on this island for some time. And so he approached the man, and the man looked up at him and said, who are you, and what are you doing here? So the little boy took in a deep breath and said, well, here's my story. And he told him the story. He told him about little Timmy punching him, and about his mother smacking him and sending him to his room, about his father disowning him and chucking a suitcase at his head, about the policeman, and about the trial, and about the plane. He told him everything. He said it was all because I asked a question. And the old man looked at him and said, well, what on earth did you ask? And the little boy, kind of flinching, putting his arm up above his head, expecting the old man just to finish him off. He said, what's a purple mountain? And the old man just kind of leaned back and said, I can answer that for you. The little boy's eyes grew large and looked up and said, you can? He said, yes. But first I want you to do something for me. You see, I was a jewel thief. I was a master jewel thief. One of the best in history. Except there was one jewel I was unable to get before I was caught. And it is on display in the British Museum in London. If you get that jewel for me and bring it back here, I will tell you what a purple mountain is. The little boy's heart filled with joy and excitement. His eyes grew as large as quarters, and he just took off. After briefly asking which way London was, the thief showed him on which direction, and he just took off. He jumped into the ocean, and he swam non-stop all the way to London, England. And he got there, he crawled out of the water, took a minute to recover because it was a long swim. But then he got up and he found his way to the British Museum. And he walked in through the front doors, and there it was, in the central room, a large display case with the jewel the thief had told him about. So he walked up and looked at the glass, and he saw it. He didn't see it, Jim. He saw the answer to his question, what is a purple mountain? So he smashed the glass and grabbed the gem and took off just as fast as he could, just running as fast as his little legs would carry him. Alarms and sirens were going off, and guards were chasing him, and he rushed out of the museum, thinking, oh yes, I'm finally going to learn this question. I've suffered so much to learn this knowledge. What is a purple mountain? As he rushed down the stairs, guards hollering, telling him to stop, stop, as he rushed out into the street, where he was hit by a bus and killed. The moral of the story is look both ways before you cross the street.